so I'm here on Valentine's Day, and my name is Marion Ware. I'm the History Project Coordinator, very proud to be, and very proud this month to be celebrating Black History Month. And with me today, I have a very important member of the African American community here in Carroll County, and he has a long history with this county, and particularly with the African American community in terms of being a leader. And so I have John Lewis with me here today, and I want to talk a little bit about some of the programming that we're having on the air. And one is a remembrance in terms of the March on Washington. So this was an effort by Jean Lewis, the NAACP, to bring together people that had actually been at the march and to have them recollect and to have memories about that particular day. And one of the things that struck me when I was looking at it again is it opens with this, we're going to walk together. We're going to march together. And so, John, I would love for you to talk a little bit about that day and kind of your feelings and what you saw and what impacted you.
Well, first of all, it was, to start with, sort of a scary day for me before I got there. I think most of us were a bit apprehensive about what was going to happen or what might happen, because we all had a sense that it was going to come together as a day that would go down in history. And when we got to Washington that morning, we proceeded to go to the pool in front of the memorial, and we immediately encountered a sea of people. And for me, in the beginning, it was sort of overwhelming. Me, I'm just an old country boy, and had not really attended anything that of that magnitude once I realized when we started to head to the memorial. And we fell into this sea of people. And, my first thought was, what do we do if some fool does something stupid, My first thought was about the safety, really, of all of us. And having seen the violence over the years in a number of places, at this point I felt like that this was not a place that was lingering under the impossibility of violence. So that safety stays in your mind. But as we proceeded, shoulder to shoulder, arm to arm, and there was hardly room to move without touching somebody to the right, to the left, or to the front or the back. But it was the cooperativeness, the kindness, and the gentle spirit of the people around you that all of a sudden I felt comfortable. I felt safe. And I felt fortunate.
Mm-hmm. Why did you go?
Because of the simple fact that this was an opportunity to leave Carroll County and go join the rest of the world in telling the world that we, the people, were fighting for our freedom. And as I said previously, I kind of had a suspicion that it was going to be a big thing, and I wanted to be a part of something bigger than Carroll County. Now, even though Carroll County didn't suffer as many violent conflicts and so forth as other places, we still had our problems. We still had discrimination and things of this nature. We still had places we couldn't go to eat. We couldn't go to the movies and stuff like this. So being in the position that I was in, I felt like I had to go learn so I could come back and tell a story.
That's lovely. So I noticed at one point, it's a fairly insignificant, but in some ways a significant piece. What was it like that day, even in terms of the weather? I mean, what was the day like? I think you said it was a beautiful day, and God made that day for the march.
It was a beautiful day. You could not have asked for a more perfect day. In my mind, repeatedly, I was telling myself, as I viewed the crowd and the sky and all the other surroundings, that God had made this day specifically for this march. He couldn't have done it any better had we actually called up to heaven and said, hey, we have a plan. Yeah. But as usual, we left it to him, and he gave us what he knew we needed, and we needed that day.
Well, you do get a sense, and I don't know what that's about, maybe it's just in retrospect, but that it is like the perfect coming together. And just watching some of the footage, that the sea of people, the buses coming in, as I think one of the women says, the old buses with the old people, and we all march together. But certainly, you also talk about the different cultures that were there, that it was not just one people that had suffered the indignities, but others.
Yes, it was, this was another fascinating point about the event. As we went through the day, I learned, because I met people from all over the United States. There were people there from outside of the United States. It was a marvel to actually realize that all of these people had come together. And you got to understand that prior to actually going there, I had spoken in Annapolis about a couple of things and so forth. But actually, prior to going there, I had never been involved in anything of this magnitude. And I'm realizing as the day goes on, after communicating with people, after just talking with somebody, and which people were most kind. You know, if they opened the bag and they had a sandwich, somebody gave you one. If somebody had a drink, they gave you one. So in talking to these people, you find out that they're people from Alaska, people from California, and they're people from not only of all races, all cultures. I don't think you can name a religion, including Buddhists, that wasn't represented that day. And the marvel of it was, to me, that all of these people had come together to tell the world that enough is enough. Oppression has to end. We can't go on if we're going to, as long as you put one person down, you've actually put down all people. Because in reality, we all related, whether we like it or not. But the beauty of that day was the simple fact that all of these folks had come together. And I'm saying to myself, for somebody like little old me. But then you realize it's not just little old you, because little old you are a part of this great big problem. And all of these people had come together to help you, to help the African American community, to help other minorities, to say, world, we have to make a change.
Yeah, the movement is on.
It's on. Yeah.
The movement is on. We shall overcome.
We shall overcome. Yeah. Yeah.
So just one more quick story that I love is your one about someone that said to you, well, what does it matter if you get on the bus, where you sit on the bus? And so I'll ask you, so why does that matter to all of us, actually.
Yeah. And you know, that's a question that has confronted me even before and after the March on Washington. There are even people today who wonder why it's such a big deal. Why do you not want to sit in the back of the bus? Why do you not want to sit in the back of the room? And it is not a question of not wanting to sit in the back of the room or in the back of the bus, or to be last in line, or to be the last hired and the first fired. It is the right, it's the right to be where you choose to be because you qualified to be there. And what qualifies you to be anywhere that you want to be on the bus or in the room is the simple fact that you're a human being. That's the qualification. And when you are able, under these qualifiers, you're able to say, I choose to sit in the back of the bus because I want to sit in the back of the bus. Or I choose to sit in the front of the classroom because I want to sit in the front of the classroom, not because you tell me to. If I choose to go through that door, it is because I want to. But it becomes a different program when you say to me, you must go through that door. You can't go through that one. You must go to this one. When I know that going through either door will get me to the same place. It is my right. It's my right. It's anyone's right as a human being to have the right to choose. And to choose, or to have the right to choose, is what we call freedom.
Thank you, John.